Hey guys, welcome back to episode 3 of Fighting Brain Rot, reclaiming critical thinking from the bottom of your feet to stop existing and start living. I am so incredibly happy you're here with me today. Honestly, the response to the last episode about George Orwell's 1984 meant the world to me. Seeing your messages and all the love over on Book Talk and Bookstagram Blooming Shelf reminded me exactly why I started this podcast, to create a space where we can actually slow down, think deeply, share our thoughts, and question the world around us without being judged. Before going further on this episode, I want to apologize for not publishing sooner. I was really sick and had literally no voice, so I'm recording this today. Yeah, sorry. Um, Today, we're moving from books to music. We're looking at a track almost everyone on earth has heard, but one that a lot of people, myself included, until like 4 days before I wrote the script, don't fully understand. I'm talking about Michael Jackson's 1985 song, They Don't Care About Us. It's one of those tracks you recognize within 2 seconds. The beat is aggressive, the chorus gets stuck in our heads instantly, and has that unmistakable MJ energy. But beneath that polished pop production is something much heavier, pure anger, system critique, and raw resistance. This isn't just a pop song to dance to in our rooms, it's a massive political statement. To really get what's going on here, we have to look at where Michael was in 1995. He was living under an absolute microscope, facing relentless media scrutiny, highly publicized allegations, and invasive tabloid coverage. Whether you think it was deserved or not, the sheer pressure he was under completely fueled the emotional intensity of this track. But what makes this song brilliant is that Michael doesn't just complain about his own problems, he takes his personal feelings and channels them into a massive critique of power structures, the media, stage violence, racism, and institutional indifference. And since we love challenging ourselves on this podcast, today we are doing something different. We're going to break down the entire track. The song slaps you awake immediately with a stark opening chant. Skinhead, deadhead, everybody gone bad. Right away he sets a chaotic, fractured stage where extremists, mentalities, and social decay have taken over, leading right into situation aggravation, everybody allegation. Here he captures the constant state of tension and panic in modern society, where everyone is pointing fingers and living in a state of perpetual outrage. He follows this up by singing "In the Suit" on the news, "Everybody Dog Food," which draws a direct line between the powerful executives in suits and the media reporting on the chaos, suggesting that the public is being fed garbage, treated like animals, or chewed up and spit out by the system. Then he drops "Bang Bang Shot Dead, Everybody's Gone," a reference to sudden violence and collective insanity of a world that has lost its moral compass. Before continuing, just quick disclaimer, this is my personal interpretation of the song, and if you have a different vision, I am glad to hear it. Michael was very ambiguous in the song, and it is open to several interpretations, and we can create here a safe space to share our opinions on this song, but remember, always in a respectful way. Continuing, this chaos lends us into the core thesis of the track, with the repeating lines. All I wanna say is that they don't really care about us. By keeping the word "they" totally ambiguous, Michael turns a personal grievance into a universal anthem for anyone who feels forgotten or exploited by an elite establishment. Then the rhythm shifts and Michael gets intensely defensive, chanting "Beat me, hate me, you can never break me, will me, thrill me, you can never kill me." He's establishing a manifesto of psychological resilience, declaring that physical or emotional abuse from the public and the media cannot crush his core spirit, but that defiance leads right into the lines that caused an absolute firestorm when the album dropped. Do me, sue me, everybody do me, kick me, don't you black or white me. This specific phrasing led to heavy allegations of racism, which Michael strongly denied, explaining that he was trying to show how disgusting racial and religious slurs are by putting them in the mouth of the oppressor. He begs the listener not to reduce him to a simple label or a black or white caricature. Whether you accept this explanation or find it phrasing inherently harmful, it forces us to to use our critical thinking and see the song from different perspectives, holding space for a messy tension between an artist's intent and the real world impact of their words. But personally, I feel like he accomplished the best way of making people think he was completely brilliant in this part of the song. Then after that, Michael shifts the perspective to a deeply personal, human level singing. Tell me what has become of my life. I have a wife and 2 children who love me. Even though Michael didn't have children yet in 1995, he changed the lyrics some years after he released this song. Then he immediately names the threats. I am the victim of police brutality now. I'm tired of being the victim of hate. This is an incredibly direct confrontation with state violence and systemic prejudice, which follows into the painful cry. You're ripping me out of my pride. Oh, for God's sake, I look to heaven to fulfill its prophecy, set me free. You can hear the pure exhaustion in his voice. It's a trauma of having your human dignity stripped away by institutional hostility, leaving you with nowhere to turn but upward for spiritual liberation. The song restarts its rhythm, cycling back to skinhead, deadhead, everybody gone bad, before pivoting slightly to trepidation, speculation, everybody allegation, which perfectly describes our modern internet culture, the fear, the endless guessing games, and the immediate rush to judgment before any facts are known. He repeats the critique of the media machine with in the suits on the news, everybody dog food, before exposing the machinery of structural racism with the heavy lines. Black man, black male, throw the brother in jail. This is a direct shout out to the way black bodies are charted, framed, and looked away by the legal system. He's calling out a society that pretends to be a community, pretends to be a family, only to stab you in the back. After grounding us again in the chorus, Michael dives deep into the broken promises of modern democracy, asking, tell me what has become of my rights. Am I invisible because you ignore me? He's calling out the terrifying reality of civic erasure, how the system makes marginalized people functionally invisible by simply refusing to see them. He follows this with, your proclamation promised me free liberty now. I'm tired of being the victim of shame, they throwing me in a class with a bad name, which highlights a massive gap between foundational documents like the Emancipation Proclamation and the actual reality of social segregation and class warfare. He sighs, I can't believe this is the land from which I came. You know, I really do hate to say it. The government don't want to see. Exposing his deep disillusionment with a government that willfully blinds itself to the suffering of its own citizens. But then he invokes history, singing, but if Roosevelt was living, he wouldn't let this be now. By referring Roosevelt and the New Deal era, he was highlighting a total bankruptcy of moral courage and the more modern leadership. And for those who don't know, Franklin D. Roosevelt was the 32nd U.S. president during the Great Depression and World War II. He was the man who created the New Deal, which was a massive plan to help poor people, create jobs, and support the working class when the economic system completely crashed. He famously said that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself, and he spoke about the four freedoms, including freedom from want and freedom from fear. Michael mentions him because Roosevelt was a leader who actually used the power of the government to lift people up from misery, showing that leaders can care if they choose to. The song drives forward, repeating the structural heartbeat of skinhead, deadhead, everybody gone bad, situation, speculation, everybody litigation, reminding us how our society replaces genuine human connections with legal battles and media speculation. But Michael doubles down on his resistance. Beat me, bash me, you can never trash me, hit me, kick me, you can never get me. No matter how physical or verbal the attacks get, he claims total ownership over his dignity. Once more, the chorus hits, and then Michael sings. Some things in life they just don't want to see, but if Martin Luther was living, he wouldn't let this be. No, no. By placing Martin Luther King Jr. alongside Franklin D. Roosevelt, he bridges the gap between institutional power and grassroots activism, reminding us that our current systems lack the moral spine required to fix these deep societal fractures. Just to remember, Martin Luther King Jr. was the ultimate leader of civil rights movement. He was a peaceful warrior who fought against the segregation and racism in America using protests, marches, and some of the most powerful speeches ever written. He had a dream of a world where people are judged by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. He was arrested, harassed by the FBI, and eventually assassinated because he dared to challenge the racist status quo. Michael brings him up because Martin Luther King Jr. never stayed silent, he never gave up, and he showed that true change requires deep, uncomfortable fighting against oppression. As the track goes on, the walls close in this final repetition: skin dead, deadhead, everybody gone bad, situation, segregation, everybody allegation, in the suit, on the news, everybody dog food. The word segregation here ties the historical civil rights struggle directly to the modern day. And right in the middle of this final storm, the controversial phrasing returns: kick me, don't you wrong or right me. It's a final desperate plea to stop the systemic labeling, begging the world to stop trying to wrong or right him under a broken, hypocritical lens. The song then surrenders completely to the rhythm, repeating, "All I want to say is that they don't really care about us," until the words themselves begin to break down into fragments. They don't really care about, leaving us with an unfinished, haunting reminder of an ongoing struggle. What Michael Jackson does with this track is honestly a masterclass in using the system against itself. He took pop culture, the most heavily commercialized art form on the planet, and used it to deliver a radical protest message. The rhythm forces our body to move, but the lyrics demand our brain to wake up. It completely disrupts our passive consumption, which brings us right back to what we talked about every single week on this show. The real danger of brain rot isn't just that we watch silly videos, is that we are being conditioned to scroll past everything with total apathy. The second screen our way through life, absorbing the background noise but completely losing our capacity for deep reflection or genuine outrage. Michael is using the pop machine to fight the machine itself, begging us to stop, listen, and think. So next time this track pops up on your playlist or shuffles onto your feed, I want you to do me a favor. Don't just bob your head to the beat. Listen to the anger, listen to the resistance, sit with the uncomfortable questions it's throwing at you. Because at the end of the day, sometimes the songs we think we know the best are the exact ones we've never truly heard at all. That's it for today's episode, guys. Thank you so much for spending this time with me and for continuing to help me build this thoughtful, curious little corner of the internet. If you love today's deep dive, please share it with a friend and come join the conversation over a blooming shelf on TikTok and Instagram. Let me know your thoughts on MJ's hidden protest. Next week, we'll dive into another piece of culture that is worth slowing down and pulling apart. Until then, keep questioning, keep thinking, listen carefully, and stay curious. Kisses. Bye, guys.